Johann Fichte, and Fichte demanded publicly of the Prussian king that the imagination of ordinary people be eradicated because it added an unpredictable element to the Prussian economy, which largely was based on renting soldiers and invading other countries and stealing their stuff. If the individual soldiers could imagine a different way, could think for themselves, obviously they weren't as efficient from the managerial point of view. And oddly enough, Fichte was not the first major philosopher to call for the destruction of the imagination of the ordinary population. About 100 years before Fichte, a philosopher who in college classes is considered to be a great liberal, the man was Spinoza. He knew himself as Benedict Spinoza, but history records him as Baruch Spinoza for reasons that would take another lecture to go into. Anyway, Spinoza, in a book called The Tractate of Religion and Politics, usually you'll see it rendered, your librarian can order it for you as Tractatus Religico-Politicus, Spinoza invented, down to the most minute details, the form of systematic schooling that we have in the United States today, and also in most parts of the world, with minor deviations. Spinoza said the purpose of this was to destroy the imagination and to fill the ordinary mind with such nonsense, with so many contradictions, that they would be unable to oppose, I'll call it, management. Spinoza's motivation for saying this is he believed that about 90% of the human race was permanently, eradicatably irrational, dangerously so, murderously so, and they had to be confused, so they would turn their murderous impulses inward rather than messing up the lives of the rational few. And interestingly enough, prior to Spinoza, we have another almost identical formulation several centuries before, John Calvin's Institutes of the Christian Religion, written by a first-class legal mind, an actual lawyer, Calvin was, points out that about 95% of the population are hopeless. They're damned before they're born, and no amount of good behavior will reclaim them, and therefore, first, you got to keep this news from them because it might make them restless. And second, you have to embed them in a system of schooling in which they're taught to chase illusory prizes, to wear themselves out competing against one another, and so on. And the original father of this idea, and I know that most of you are aware of this, was a classical Greek aristocrat we remember as Plato, and in his two utopias, The Laws is the last of the two, and The Republic is the one most people read. He lays down a system of confused enterprise to render most people harmless. This idea has traveled directly down to us. I have been unable in years of trying to find a major thinker who rejected this idea, who didn't boost it, and the one that caused the most damage of all, probably the fellow who caused the most damage, teaching the same idea, but, quote, scientifically, was none other than our hero of the last couple of weeks, because of his 200th anniversary, Charles Darwin. Most of us don't bother to actually read Darwin. We read a school secondhand account of what Darwin said.
Democratic presidential candidate Joseph Biden today faces a controversy. 3 weeks ago at a debate at the Iowa State Fair, he used phrases identical to those delivered by British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock.
Biden seemed to be claiming Kinnock's vision and life as his own.
Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Gladys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
My ancestors who worked in the coal mines in northeast Pennsylvania and come up after 12 hours and play football.
8 hours underground and then come up and play football.
It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
There was no platform upon which they could stand.
The notion that every thought or notion or idea you'd have to go back and find and attribute to someone, I think is, quite frankly, ludicrous.
The problem here is that Senator Biden told his audience he'd just been thinking about these things, and he failed to give any credit at all to his famous British speechwriter.
You know, I was thinking on the way over here. Now, that's a little too much, because, as you point out, what's behind the words? What's there? And a lot of people, the rap on Biden has always been that it's just a surface.
I should have said, to paraphrase Neil Kinnock, it's the only time I didn't, and all the times I've ever used it.
But CBS News found a tape of a second instance.
It reappeared in the New York Times with a new charge, that Biden had appropriated a famous litany from the late Robert Kennedy about what the gross national product cannot measure.
It cannot measure the health of our children,
the health of our children,
the quality of our education,
the quality of their education,
the joy of their play,
or the joy of their play.
Biden gave Kennedy no credit. He has also quoted or paraphrased John Kennedy, Hubert Humphrey, and British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock, all without credit.
Joseph Biden admitted today that he committed plagiarism when he was in law school. He said it was a mistake, but that it was unintentional.
He quoted 5 pages of someone else's work without proper citation.
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
He was given an F.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been dumb.
To the political community in Washington, it all seems of a piece. Plagiarism at law school, plagiarism on the stump.
The great communicator. Strike that. The great imitator.
You don't steal verbatim, or when you do, as he did 99% of the time, you give credit.
Biden's critics say he sells himself as a man whose words and visions can inspire a new generation in politics. But if the thoughts, phrases, and visions really belong to others, it's a form of false advertising.
Is it a wise idea, though, to take something that personal, anyway, from another politician and try and appropriate it to your own campaign?
I think it was a stupid thing to appropriate material that was really very personal, that was someone else's.
Most people didn't know who he was, you know, Joe Biden, and now they're going to say, oh, yeah, he's the guy who plagiarized.
That's a lot of people.
Politically, that's devastating.
These clips are devastating. He looks like a Joe Biden wind-up doll with somebody else's words coming out.
If they're going to do things that are stupid as well as immoral, then they're probably too dumb to have the job of president.
Voters are going to have to decide whether he was dishonest or dumb.
Senator Joseph Biden may have more explaining to do.
The new questions stem from taped remarks of Biden during an April campaign appearance in New Hampshire.
I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. Went back to law school and, in fact, ended up in the top half of my class. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only needed 123 credits.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
Joe Biden ranked 76th in a class of 85 at the University of Syracuse Law School. I mean, this guy comes off this whole thing as a flyweight.
Now Biden says Newsweek is right. His memory had failed him.
And I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
Joe Biden was victimized by the truth.
Bye-bye Biden. He may not know it yet, but I think this is going to be very difficult for him to recover.
Is Joe Biden dead meat, yes or no?
I think so.
Bob?
It's in terminal condition.
Terminal. Eleanor?
Yes, unless he comes in third in Iowa.
Morton?
Dying.
I say dead. We'll be right back.
That being said, enjoy the next few minutes of CNN blatantly lying to your face.
Also interesting is, remember,
this first one is Chris Cuomo telling the public that it's illegal for them to look at or possess Hillary's WikiLeaks.
also interesting is, remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media.
It's different for the media.
So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us. And in full disclosure,
Chris knows damn well it's not illegal for you to look at the WikiLeaks.
It's illegal. It's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media.
He knows he's lying again when he acts like the media has some kind of special privilege on the information.
It's different for the media. It's different for the media.
It's different for the media.
CNN is pushing you away from looking at the WikiLeaks for yourself because the WikiLeaks reveal many sinister, creepy, and occult-like truths about the people within them. You should take a look at my video where we dive into the most revealing of all the WikiLeaks.
And I look forward to hearing back from you. The emails, the classified Hillary Clinton emails, can you provide us those classified emails?
Well, we didn't look at the classified emails. I mean, that wasn't part of our review. I mean, maybe Mr. McCullough can answer that question.
Certainly, I can provide you what, and I believe we have provided Congress with everything that we had. We can certainly, it's over in Senate Security. We provided it to SSCI, I believe, and HIPS.
Can you provide this committee in a secure format the classified emails?
What I can, to a certain extent. I cannot provide a certain segment of them because the agency that owns the information for those emails has limited the distribution on those. So they're characterizing them as ORCON.
Explain what ORCON is.
Originator control. So I can't give them to even Congress without getting the agency's permission to provide them. So they have been provided.
Which agency?
I can't say that here in an open hearing, sir.
So you can't even tell me which agency won't allow us as members of Congress to see something that Hillary Clinton allowed somebody without a security clearance in a non-protected format to see. That's correct?
Yeah, this is the segment of emails that this is why my letter back to Ranking Member Cummings had to be classified, because people would like to see this segment of emails. And this has been an issue not just with you and your committee, but with several members at this point. And so we have gone back to the agency that is involved several times, and we can certainly do that again and ask permission.
Can you generally tell me, is it because they're so sensitive about signals intelligence, humans intelligence? What?
We shouldn't get into the content of these emails in an open hearing, but I'd be happy to take it.
I don't want to violate that, but the concern is that it has already been violated, and it was violated by Hillary Clinton, and it was her choice. She set it up, and she created this problem, and she created this mess. We shouldn't have to go through this, but she did that.
This is the segment of emails that I had to have people in my office read in to particular programs to even see these emails. We didn't possess the required clearances and compartments.
So even the Inspector General for ODNI didn't have the requisite security clearances.
That's correct. I had to get read-ins for them.
Unbelievable. What a mess. I'll yield back. The gentleman from Maryland, Mr.
He could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Yeah, if you look at the issues,
because this shit's in front of everybody. Like, all the people who deny conspiracy theories and stuff, in their wallet are fucking rectangles covered in Egyptian occult symbology that they don't even think about.
Yeah, what's up with that fucking all-seeing eye on top of the pyramid?
Just an eye on top of a pyramid, that makes sense.
The eye in the pyramid still graces the $1 bill. It was President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Freemason of the 32nd degree, who ordered the seal to be printed on the dollar bill in 1933, 144 years after Congress had accepted this seal.
What that means, folks, is for the last 150 years, there's been nothing but Freemasons in the political positions of power. You name the political positions in this country.
The highest official level of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is the 33rd degree, and it has this motto, Ordo ab Chao, order out of chaos.
And it's the all-seeing eye of their God that they believe will indeed bring us Ordo ab Chao. That is their slogan, order out of chaos.
Occultic 13s, 13 leaves in the olive branches, 13 bars and stripes in the shield, 13 arrows, 13 letters of E pluribus unum, and on and on and on and on.
The Masonic pyramid on the dollar bill is built of 33 stones. The supranational socialist power the Illuminati aspired to was summed up in the concept of Novus Ordo Seclorum, the New World Order. The seal symbolizes the Illuminati claim to control America, no matter who is president.
Also, right the way through to the present day, the presidents are not only connected to the bloodline, they're fundamentally involved in the secret society network that puts the bloodlines into power.
Everything is there. The whole message is right there. This is the whole mystery laid out right there.
Exactly.
But you have to read each of the individual symbols, and you have to put it all together to derive the meaning, the synergistic meaning that is greater than the sum of the parts.
And it takes about 30 years to do it.
It does. And notice again, look, here's the secret cipher again. I shouldn't even be pointing this out to you. The Ouroboros serpent swallowing his tail, surrounding with these symbols inside the serpent. And then down here we have the rough ashlar, the stone that has been worked, and then we have two pillars. We have the letter G inside the pentagram. We have here a beehive. We have a mallet. All of these things, you know, here we have the level, here we have the plum.
Pyramids in the background.
Pyramids in the background, right. Now you know what this was? This was the apron worn by George Washington when he opened the Lodge of Master Masons. That's right. The father of our country. This is what he wore. And he knew when he wore this apron and opened the lodge that basically they were undertaking the great work.